I decided we're going to go ahead and go through some Generation X's. Now, Generation X, it started out of 95, that's the annual. It started out of the Phalanx Covenant, I believe was the title of the series. It was split 3 ways, but the one for Generation X came out in Uncanny X-Men and X-Men. And the Phalanx, were trying to find all of the younger mutants to find an either way to convert them into Phalanx. So that was interesting. I really enjoyed that. I always thought Generation X, I didn't read the New Mutants. We'll talk more about the New Mutants when we talk about X-Force. But I always, I like the idea of the younger team. You know, the X-Men were originally teenagers, and then they grew up to be adults. And the New Mutants were a flashback issue, something they did back in the 90s or the 2000s, where they just did a -1 or -1. And then they went back and did some unknown history. Here we got Banshee fighting the Dark Beast way back when we know Dark Beast came from Age of Apocalypse. And here's the first issue. So when the Phalanx attacked, Banshee and Emma Frost were in the mansion with Jubilee, because Jubilee was an X-Man for a while, and I believe she became an X-Man again. But she was still younger, so they had to get a hold of all of the younger mutants in the cerebral files to save them from being assimilated into, see, another issue of Generation X. There's 2 of them. And here's number 2. But so they had to go through and find a whole bunch of these younger mutants. Moness St. Croix and Penance. We'll find out later on who Penance is, but she showed up at the end of Generation X number 1. They had promoted like 8 characters, I believe, holiday special, and this is the one that goes on right before Generation X turns into Generation Next for 4 issues, Age of Apocalypse stuff. So you can kind of see a duplicate. And then they came back, big time in the Red Apple. I want to make sure these are in order. Number 5, 6, and then after Generation X, check out the full video on the channel. And remember, have a day.